Russia is burning through its soldiers. Lives aren't just lost, they're being thrown away. Troops are sent into combat after barely receiving any training. Fresh recruits, many without any military background, are sometimes killed within less than 2 weeks. They were never truly trained. Others go to the front after just a month of preparation. But here's the strange part. Russia isn't in a state of emergency. The front lines are not collapsing like they were in autumn 2022, when the situation was so desperate that any man available was rushed to the trenches. So, why is this still happening? Why does Russia keep deploying troops without proper training? There is a logic behind it, a harsh, pragmatic logic. According to the Institute for the Study of War, Russia captured just 1,627 square kilometers between January and April, 196 in January, 313 in February, 601 in March, mostly due to the collapse of the Ukrainian line at Kursk, and only 219 in April. If you look at the monthly trend, Russia is gaining less and less ground. At the same time, Russian losses per square kilometer are increasing. Ukrainian sources claim Russia is now losing about 99 soldiers, killed, wounded, or missing, per square kilometer gained. That's up from just 59 in the months from September to December. Even if we take these numbers with a grain of salt, they are consistent with visual evidence from the battlefield. And that isn't a surprise, because Russia is using poorly trained troops, and the state of the Russian army gets worse day per day. Many soldiers get just days or weeks of training. That's never enough to create a useful soldier for the front line. Take the case of Private Ilya Titorenko. He was buried in Mytishki. He received a posthumous award for bravery, for actions taken in his very first battle, which also turned out to be his last. He was 48 years old. He signed his contract on October the 14th, 2024. He died on October 26th, 12 days, 3 of which he spent traveling. He had never served in the military before, and he's not an exception. Many of the troops being deployed are old or medically unfit. Russia has drastically lowered its medical standards for recruitment. People with serious illnesses, both physical and mental, are being sent to the front. Even men over 60 are now deployed. But why? Because Russia either has to accept anyone who is even remotely usable, or launch another round of mobilization, which would be politically costly. As of now, it continues to rely on volunteers. That means either you take whoever signs up, no matter their condition, or you run out of troops. At the same time, Russia no longer has enough armored vehicles and equipment to carry out large-scale mechanized assaults like in 2022. So now assaults are mostly done on foot, or using civilian vehicles, buggies, or even motorcycles. And here's the reality. If you send unprotected troops across open ground, under drone surveillance, they will suffer massive casualties. It can take up to 2 hours for a heavily loaded soldier to walk 7 kilometers through hostile terrain while hiding from drones. Most won't make it. And that's the key point. In these conditions, training doesn't help much. A highly trained soldier, exposed to drones and artillery, dies just as quickly as an untrained one. That's why Russia doesn't invest in proper training for many of these troops, especially not for those who are too old, too sick, or mentally unfit to ever become capable fighters. A 63-year-old man or someone with schizophrenia will never be a good infantryman. Training can improve existing potential, but it can't create it from nothing. So when you only have poor quality in your recruits, you simply can't form a good army out of it. You can't take someone with severe limitations and turn them into a fit 20-year-old soldier. So Russia adapts. It combines its equipment shortages with low-quality personnel by deploying them in a way that makes the most out of a bad situation. These useless soldiers, as the military might view them, are used in high-risk, low-success assaults. They go forward in civilian vehicles, buggies, and motorcycles. Even pro-Russian military bloggers now admit soldiers who are too badly wounded are sent back into combat, into these same suicidal storm attacks. A man on crutches can't effectively storm a trench. But that's not the point. Convict soldiers, the ill, the elderly, all of them still serve a tactical purpose. They force Ukraine to use up ammunition. They provoke Ukrainian artillery, revealing its position for Russian counter-battery fire. They get shot at, and in doing so, expose Ukrainian positions for Russian drones and artillery. Sometimes they even achieve minor tactical gains. And that might also explain the use of civilian vehicles. Russia saves its better equipment for its more capable troops. Why waste a modern APC on a recruit who can barely walk? If only low-grade gear is available, it makes more sense to give it to low-grade soldiers. So yes, in this twisted logic, it makes sense not to train these people for months. They won't survive long enough for it to matter. Russia could pause attacks to train troops longer, but Ukraine would also use that time to regroup. And even with more training, losses would still be extremely high in infantry assaults without armored support. Training also costs money. Soldiers are paid during training. 3 to 4 months of preparation means 3 to 4 months of salary, housing and supplies without any return on the battlefield. And Russia doesn't have unlimited resources. Training requires infrastructure and instructors. And the longer the training period, the more instructors are needed. So Russia makes a cold calculation. Better training won't change the outcome much, but it will cost more. And if attacks need to continue to maintain pressure, then those attacks will be carried out with or without proper soldiers. Even men who can barely walk, even mentally unfit recruits, are pushed forward. These are Russia's disposable soldiers. Prisoners, the sick, the elderly, the troublemakers, and probably not just them. Even fit soldiers are being wasted in these attacks because there simply aren't enough armored vehicles to go around. So again, why invest in better training if the end result is likely the same? You could slow down the offensive for a few months and train people properly, but then Ukraine would also catch its breath. And you'd still suffer massive losses the moment attacks resume. So instead, Russia chooses to keep the momentum. And if keeping that momentum means sending thousands of poorly trained men to their deaths, then so be it. That's the logic of Russia's throwaway soldiers. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you won't miss the upcoming videos. Thanks for your support, and until next time.